All right, listen, I think let's start with the normal. There's some people who hadn't watched previous episodes, so you'll have to introduce yourself again, just quickly a background, who you are, and we'll go around the table.
So my name is Karin. I'm a psychologist here in Johannesburg, and I don't know that much about AI and tech, but a little bit more about psychology, I guess.
So, Wilfred?
Wilfred Greyling. I'm a software architect, systems architect. I am currently framed as that very founder that I might be talking about. So it's an interesting journey. I've been through the loop a few times, and let's see what happens this round. So this is an interesting conversation to have. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. I'm Lurinda Maree.
Maria?
I'm an industrial psychologist, applied theatre specialist, and I work with systems psychodynamics. So in the system and figuring out what's actually going on under the surface.
Amazing.
So
and it's the conversation, right? That is the idea of the First Principles podcast. It's to speak to executives and not just in corporate, but mid-size customers as well, businesses in South Africa, about that play-off between systems and people. And so you guys are a great balance for us for today. Wilfred, the reason I asked you to come on very short notice, and thanks for that, is you've been watching businesses from the outside mostly as a systems architect, looking into businesses, smaller, medium, corporates, banks, for how long now?
Do we have to disclose that?
Yes, please.
I would say, okay, well, I think we need to reframe it maybe a little bit, because I always had my own businesses. And in there, you sort of learn interesting things of what to do and what not to do, but the hardest possible way, because we, as business owners, you can't hear or see anything that anybody else tells you, because you must know. You are clever and you understand and you've got your plan, and don't come and tell me what to do. So I've been that guy, and I am that guy, and I'm trying to not be that guy. So I've always been inside the business, trying to make it work as best as I can. And I've spent some time, thanks to you actually, to look at businesses from the outside as an architect and see how they operate. And that was 6 years or so that made sense. But the majority of time I was on the other side of the fence. So I'm enjoying the dynamic of seeing both sides of the story in a way, and trying to see how I can learn and how I can help other people to also cross that divide, because it feels like that.
Yeah.
As a founder, where you can't see. You can't see where you must go, even though you think you know where you must go. Anyway, so I don't even. Did that answer your question?
It does. Well, there's a follow-up question on that. Is at which point does the founder become the risk? Because when you are, let's take your position as a systems architect helping a business implement systems. Number one, why do they want to implement systems? And is it because of this risk, this founder's risk? Just talk to us a little bit about that.
I would say it's got multiple angles. When you have a business, and this is for me, I'm talking from my angle, and I'm going to get to the architect side in a minute. I just want to frame it from the side that I'm feeling at the moment. So I'm sitting in a new business now where we're building up a thing. And I can feel it. I can feel that I'm resisting those processes, and you become part of the workflow essentially, and that is such a huge risk. But in the start, you have to do that, because if you are not in the workflow, then nothing happens and nothing moves. So it's that fine balance of knowing when you switch out to the next layer of things. So when you look at it from an architect perspective, is to try and identify what phase the business is in. Like where are they? How far have they gone? Which things have they established? And there's a very other interesting conversation that I'm dying to hear, where you see the things that you can't see. But where are they, and what has been tied down, and what just flows as they think is a natural flow, which starts establishing those issues where you become part of the workflow as a founder. And I think that's the risk that develops over time, and the mechanism of how you break out of that without feeling like you're losing control, without feeling like you letting go of your business, so that there's you always hear that you have to let go as a founder, but it's not true that you have to let go. You can only let go if there's something else that carries the thing. So I can let you do a thing. If you were working with me, I could let you do a thing on your own without having to approve it, only if there is a foundational layer underneath that supports these things. And that's where the systems come into the process, is to make sure that when you let go as the founder, that thing lands nicely and solidly, and it can carry on. And there are not just you as the founder looking at it saying, I have to see that this thing goes the right way, but other people can also visibly see that the thing is following the right path. That's where the systems get it through, but it's also the place where the founder struggles to let that go, because those things are often not in place.
What I mentioned earlier, just before we got started, is the idea or the concept. When I was reading through the notes again this morning, my thing that I highlighted here was freedom is love. Because you learn in your personal life that if you in your home or in a relationship, if you try and control it, that's not love. Love is freedom, and that freedom could be that you choose against me, but I should give you that freedom. So, because in the home we are, but we are the same people in this business. And I'm just wondering, on your side, the invisible architecture, because that's really what drives most of these businesses or organizations. You mentioned emotional contracts. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I mean, your focus, I know, and that's the role I want you to play, is more on the system side. I want you to balance that with these emotional contracts and the invisible architecture. How does that relate into that founder's risk?
As I was listening to you speak, I was thinking about the fact that there's the system psychodynamic lens incorporates boundaries, authority, role, and task. And thinking through how you were talking a lot about how do I redefine my boundary all the time and play my role all the time. And how do we make that visible and conscious so that people can know what's the ask? And I think that's the biggest thing, is people assume they know what the ask is, but they're not really talking about what the ask is, because it's sometimes painful, or there's the risk in or threat in, so they just work on the assumptions.
Just an example.
So let's say the situation you just described. You're at that point where you know you need to get out more out of the operations into the strategic and allow the workflow to go on their own. You know that, and it exists in your mind, so we call it organization in the mind. It's there. They have another organization in their minds where you are now part of this. So separating would mean loss, so they don't want to talk about it. Although there might be a known unknown, they might know that, in the unconscious, you actually already know that you're going to separate at some time, but they don't want to deal with it. You know you need to go away, but you might also be very scared that they're not going to be okay without you. So there's threat on both sides. But nobody's talking about it. You're trying to strategically figure out, when do I move? What's the best time? Because the moment that we bring this to the surface and we're talking about it, it's going to be painful. And to your point, then there's the freedom of saying, but I don't want you to go, I still need you, and there might be conflict. So that's the other part of the BART's C and I, is conflict and identity. So we have an identity now, and you're going to disrupt that, and I don't want that. So that's actually what's going on. But how do you put that in words if there's no words? There's no language for that. So we need to create the language.
So what I'm hearing is, there's a lot of customers who's, when you talk about a founder in a business, some founders last longer in the flow than others. Some are maybe a second round in business. Now I need to exit early.
Yes.
Right? And then it's less painful. But some guys stay the CEO while there's thousands of people working there. And he's in the flow, and all of a sudden some business coach tells him, hey, and always relationships are going to waste. You need to exit. And then he's thinking, okay, well, for me to exit, I need to implement my flow thoughts into systems so that some alter ego of me can still exist via these systems. Is that what you think happened?
Yeah. So on the second and third rounds, I think you start doing it earlier on, where you now know that moment is coming. Yeah. There's also, I enjoy Daniel Priestley. His analogy of where you're in the wilderness where you're trying to work out what your business is, and then you live inside a what is the thing called? I can't remember now. Can you believe it? Anyway, so this is your comfort zone where you've got a business that makes a lot of money, and the people can all talk to each other, and information flows freely, and it is comfortable to work inside that space. Then when you say, I'm leaving this business and I'm moving to a high performance business, you cross a desert. And I think you've spoken about a desert as well. That journey where you leave your comfort business and you move to a high performance business and you're traveling through the desert, that's where you die. I've died there, I think 1.5 times. I have seen other businesses die in the desert. And it's so sad because you've got everything going on and it's all working. But because you're not changing the way you're thinking about how you're supposed to put those systems in place, which sort of captures not who you are, but what the business is actually about. You shouldn't be so pivotal that it can't be put into a system. And anyway, so the point is that going through the desert is the hardest part. And this is the piece that you want to get right. So there are lots of phases to this. Obviously, it's not just you just arrive at the end. You have to go through a journey. Now, a business exists it offers a special thing. We make these cups and they are black and they are special because of this. And that's the thing that you focus on as a founder. So how do we make these cups better? But behind that or underneath that lives the entirety of business that is supposed to exist. In addition to the cup that lives on top of that, that is the piece that you do. Now, as a founder or as a business, if you're looking only at how you deal with the cup, you forget about all the other bits. But they're like the things that must be there. And we hate them because they are boring, and it's accounting, and it's knowledge management, it's HR, it's all those things that we don't want to do. But if you don't do them, or at least acknowledge that you are not doing them, and that is part of the process, once you've got that solid foundation, then go climb your mountain when at least you've seen these bits, and you know that if I ask something of someone, if I'm the leader, I should trust that they can do their job. Or if they need to do their thing that they need to do, they shouldn't have to come to me or to you or anybody else to say, how do I do my work? The work must be visible. You must be able to see that. And in recent times, that's been one of the hardest problems, is to see where the work is. And that makes people feel like I'm not doing my job because I can't find the work. But to find the work, you need to understand what goes on in the shadows, and you don't know that game, and you don't want to play that game, but it affects your surroundings. So anyway, so you want to make sure that when you build a business, you care about those boring things, and if you can systemize it, then you don't have to worry about it. It is there, it is handled, and you can focus on the cup that you want to make better.
I think that's an interesting question. Is it a fallacy to think that you can systematize many of those things?
I think to a certain extent, yes.
Because what I see is you'll get a business requirement doc and you read through it and you're like, that looks like somebody's job once.
Yes.
And now they want to put that into a system where somebody needs to capture something or have a multi-select, Does that work? Because 90% of system implementations fail. There's no adoption. Is it because we are trying to put stuff flows into systems that should really be done by
People.
people.
Yeah, correct. And I mean, I know this is not an AI discussion, but this is part of the AI problem also, because it all falls that way, and somehow we want to take the human out of it, and that's not the correct approach. We need to amplify the people so that they are stronger and they're not sidelined in the whole process. That's tricky.
What are you hearing?
Stuff.
What are you hearing?
I'm slow. I'm still coming to because can I just go one step back? Because the first thing I want to ask you is, I like this. You go into the desert. You're talking about smaller businesses, and then you call it
lifestyle
businesses. How do you know that you're there? Like, it's time now.
You have to consciously understand it. So you have to know. And I had a client just the other day, and I asked him, do you want to be a lifestyle business where it's a smaller team and you guys are tightly knit, or do you want to be a high performance business where of course I want to be a high performance business. But that is I think he said that because that's an expectation of what business should be. Is that you should always be working to be this big operation with these millions of people and high turnover, but the reward is not always there. You can have a lifestyle business where you are way more happy and you can go home to your family and your kids and not be dead and not have to think about work every 5 seconds of what threat is coming in and whatever. And that's a lifestyle business, and there's value in that. And to move to the next layer, you have to say, guys, we are going into the desert. And this is going to be the journey, and this is what I think it is. Can I have your input? How do we get through this thing? And you work together with your people to get to the other side, and everybody must know that you're leaving this space where we spoke to each other around the lunch meeting spot, and everybody had context, to a place where we need to distribute the context in a different way.
Yeah.
Because we are leaving this happy space. But we are leaving this happy space because we understand that this other thing we're going to is the thing we want.
Yeah.
So don't go to the other thing if that's not what you want either. So that's why I say it's a conscious decision.
But what I'm hearing is the overlap between the two of you saying, if as the founder leader, I realize I don't know if it's always voluntary, but you are growing to the point of changing from a lifestyle business to something bigger, that you actually sit the people down and you say to everyone, that's what you said, bringing it to consciousness.
I just want to stop. So my experience is that happens most often when a leader or a executive burns out. It's normally in a state of burnout that triggers that.
Sure.
Walking into the desert phase.
Yeah, like, listen, I'm burnt out. I can't deal with this amount of people. This lifestyle business now become too big. Is a person who's just actually in burnout or trying to process it, most people don't process properly. Are they in a good state or a state to actually make that decision?
I think it would be really unfortunate. What you're trying to say is, let's avoid that. Let's not wait till burnout.
Yeah.
And when we make this decision,
you can't have children to save your marriage.
No.
It's like that kind of a thing. And so you can't go through the desert to a high performance business because you burnt out. You need to deal with the issue first.
Yes.
And you need to stabilize that. And I think that is where systems are important. If you have to say, how can I fix this, is to say, what goes on in your head? Why is it heavy for you? Why is it that you are tired? It is because every decision comes to you, and because you carry all this weight.
Yeah.
You know, for example, if you want to speak to your leader, and that person is so busy that they can say that they can physically say to you, you've got 30 seconds to deliver your whatever it is you want to say to me.
Yes.
Then you must know the game is lost, because for your leader to have no time for you and an issue that you want to bring to the table indicates that that person is doing the wrong stuff. They are doing the work. They are the workflow. So they are so busy doing that they cannot care about the people that is in the business.
Yeah.
You can't go into the desert with that. You will just die.
Yeah.
And so you do.
Interesting.
Sure.
Lurinda, you mentioned that in every human interaction, there's two worlds. That's serious and the playful. I'm just wondering, if that happens, where you've got these guys, his business coach tells him, listen, you need to separate yourself from business, you need to now go into this desert, you need to give people 30 seconds or 15 minutes to interact with you. Do you lose some of that?
The playful.
Yeah. And the question is really, is that playfulness really there? Because in South Africa, my experience is when you sit in boardrooms or in meetings, there's very, very little of that.
Very little, yes. And I think that's, it is an effort to bring it to the party under any circumstances.
But why would you want to? Because I mean, there is humor. South Africans are.
Yeah.
We've got a very healthy, dry humor, sarcasm.
Most of us.
You call it dry humor when the people doesn't like your joke. It's actually sort of sarcasm or satire or whatever the case might be. But it's a critical part of.
I think it's critical.
Yes.
I think it's critical because you cannot be curious and judgmental on this at the same time. You need to choose. And I think and it's about the limbic system and the neocortex as well, or the prefrontal cortex. You can't live in your head the whole time. The moment you go into your body and you really just enjoy what's going on and you connect to your limbic system that holds all your emotional memories, the reason why you're doing what you're doing, and you get everybody in the company to do the same thing, then it's like an awakening. It's like a refreshment. And it can't be that all the time as well, But I think that somewhere, that's why everybody's talking about the vision is so important. Everybody must know where we're going. But actually the vision is the playful part of it. It's like, why are we doing this? It's like being home with your family around the dinner table and really just engaging with these people that are forming and shaping every day. And it's similar to a business. When do you do that? Where's the time for that? Are we being intentional about it? Because that playful part is what gets us through the difficult parts.
You have to weave it in all the time. It must be constant.
So my question is, if you said going through the desert has a lot of loss, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like part of that loss is when you leave the lifestyle business, that's actually what you lose. It's the only reason you would want to keep it is because you have that playfulness, right?
Yeah.
But if you're intentional about keeping your playfulness, then the loss isn't that hectic. Or not really?
Well,
does it contain a little bit of that lifestyle business culture?
I think that's probably, in my experience, the biggest fear that people have in that level 2-3 company maturity model transition is losing the family feel. Losing I'm handing you the paper so we can have a quick conversation about your child. Even when I did change management, that's the stuff people are really scared of. But the threats are 10% truth wrapped in 90% lie. And that's the problem, is that's what they think. That's the threat. We're going to lose this. But you are going to lose a lot of it, but you're not going to lose all of it. But we need to know, okay, that's your fear. Let's speak to that fear and say, okay, we are going to lose a lot of it, but what are we going to keep? And the William Bridges transition management says, celebrate the endings. If you don't celebrate the endings, then you enter the desert and you're still wishing you were in Egypt. That's not what you want to do. You want them to be like, oh, here I am. This is a creative space. We can become more here. Yeah. But it's making that intentional and conscious to everybody. But the fear is true, but it's not 100% true. So
it's funny because I was last night, the Kinderbible for my kids in the evening before they go to bed. And it's funny because last night I was reading to them specifically those first 3 months in the desert. And they run into a point where there's no water.